Today, we're going to talk about the historic Nvidia-Intel alliance, a $5 billion bet to fuse Nvidia's AI acceleration with Intel's x86 ecosystem, re-engineering the data centers, PCs, and global chip supply chain overnight. I'm not quite sure that's what's happening here. In my opinion, there's some other stuff going on. But John, what do you think of this?
Yeah, well, let's just overarch it with Taiwan. But so on September 18th, Nvidia, which is a company that right now basically owns the AI revolution, they've announced that it's investing $5 billion into Intel, which is its former rival, right? Like, it used to be its former rival, and now they've been struggling so badly that a lot of people, even you and I, wondered if the company is going to survive or if it'll have to file for bankruptcy. So this isn't just a financial investment here. Nvidia and Intel are essentially partnering to co-develop entirely new products. So custom data center CPUs for Nvidia's AI infrastructure and consumer PC chips that fuse Intel processors with Nvidia graphics at the package level, which is really cool. When this was announced, Intel stock jumped 22% in a single day, which is the biggest one-day surge since 1987. Now, you talked about this isn't just cash, right? So to put this into perspective, this isn't just about a cash injection, because it's more about legitimacy and survival, that Intel desperately needed a major customer to validate its struggling foundry business, and Nvidia became that anchor client, right? But what makes it interesting is that they've been working on this secretly for almost a year. So this wasn't just some sudden rescue, right? This was strategic planning. And we don't have to get into politics here, but the Trump administration wasn't even involved, despite what you may think. So
yeah, I agree that they weren't involved, but I would not say that
they didn't have influence,
that it wasn't part of Jensen Huang's thinking.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Because they around, a couple of months ago, they want to sell their chips to China. They got in trouble selling chips to China that they weren't supposed to. They made another deal with Trump to get around all that because of and they're like, okay, the U.S. government is investing, I think, $5 billion in Intel as well, because, and people were shocked. And I wasn't, because, they're been losing market share forever. They've had nothing but disaster after disaster. They did the foundry versus Intel, the x86 maker. So we'll build anybody's chips in our foundry and we'll design stuff. So they split that up. And now the U.S. needs to keep chip manufacturing in the U.S. And to me, it's just like a buyout, like the bank buyout. They couldn't have failed the banks or the auto manufacturer to go to business. They can't afford to lose the chip manufacturing in North America. So they get some money in there. Nvidia's been working on this deal and saying, okay, we want manufacturing in the U.S. This is going to give me a lot more weight on the tariff, saying, listen, we're putting $5 billion to manufacture and work with Intel and keep them afloat here to, so back off on what we're doing on Taiwan over there. That's why I'm saying it wasn't necessarily motivated, but I'm sure it was not non-existent factor, how much and whatnot, because of stuff.
Yeah, but I think the bigger factor here is Taiwan, because so we all know that Nvidia doesn't manufacture its own chips, right?
Yeah. They use TSMC.
Yeah, they use TSMC, right, in Taiwan. So that's a massive geopolitical risk for them, because if China invades Taiwan, or there's a major earthquake, or if U.S.-China tensions escalate and Taiwan becomes a flashpoint, then Nvidia's entire supply chain could collapse overnight, right? Yep. So having this backup manufacturing option in the U.S. is smart. It's essentially risk management here. The only problem with all of this is that Intel's foundry isn't proven yet. Okay, so their most advanced process, called 18A, which I think is 1.8 nanometers, I think. Yeah. It's impressive on paper, but hasn't demonstrated the manufacturing yields and reliability that TSMC consistently delivers. and just some numbers here, that early reports suggested that 18A yields were around 20 to 30% compared to TSMC's 60% on their comparable process. So that's pretty much the difference between making money and losing billions, just to kind of put that in perspective. So NVIDIA is kind of hedging here, right?
Yeah, and they're hedging, but they're also expanding. Right? They're hedging, but they're also saying, hey, the future of server CPUs is ours as well.
Yeah.
And that's a market that they're not in right now, and they can be. And with Intel on their side and maybe fixing it, they can get these things moving forward. So it's a risk, yeah, but I mean, I think if you want to move to any different manufacturing facility, it's a risk. And I think with the weight of the U.S. government behind it and companies like Nvidia, people are starting to see that tariffs or supply chains can be disrupted overnight due to, like I said, tariffs or other stuff or war or what have you, political strife.
Yeah.
And that can really impact your bottom line, and you don't want that to happen. So I think, COVID, among other things, really highlighted some of those, and making sure that, we can be self-sufficient in North America definitely is a interest of governments these days, and I think it should be.
I agree. Yeah.
So what do you think about this deal? Is this an exciting inflection point, integrating AI platforms, moving from niche to mainstream? Are we going to see better laptop CPU and server CPU, GPU combinations driving stuff going forward? Are you looking forward to the next Intel / Nvidia powered computer combo? Let us know what you think. So what do you got going on, John?
Yeah, well, just helping companies secure government funding. So, it's a great time to reach out if you have any questions. How about you, Craig?
Well, there's a lot going on over at flowgrammer.ca. We're doing automation and AI and business processes. We do events, but we're really ramping our business up. And check out all the things we're doing over there. If you're interested in business automation, we've got community events where we're teaching everyone. We do an online, and we're about to launch our new resource center, flowgrammers.ca, which might be out when some of these are out. Other than that, check out for everything we do. Our monthly startup investor drinks, where you get to pitch to the crowd, business owners and investors, and have real conversations and make real connections. So for all those things, check out TorontoStarts.com. And for everything else, anything else, John, before we say goodbye?
No, just reach out to me on LinkedIn, John Irwin, if you want.
John Irwin on LinkedIn. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.